this week's media news with me, Gareth O'Connor. I'm going to start by saying it was a busy week in the world of media and advertising last week. Top level domain names went up for sale. This is something I spoke about a while ago. But those people who govern the web, or the internet, shall we say, they had over 2,000 applications for new ones. So this is things like, .art, .news, .google, .amazon, .u. Some, of course, are more desirable than others, but Google and Amazon are currently battling over .u. So this will be instead of .com or .co.uk or .co.nz. But Amazon were particularly aggressive, so they've pretty much done everything they sell. So .book, .buy, .news, .tunes is apparently not too pleasing to Apple, but each of these cost 185,000 US dollars for each one. So a lot of money, a lot of money. Yes, I do want one.
The radical new MacBook Pro with Retina display. Innovation in every dimension.
Oh, that looks good. And of course, Apple's annual conference is coming up soon, and I think, of course, they'll be talking about this. And also the iPhone 6. I think it's going to be called the iPhone 6, not the iPhone 5, because, of course, 5 was skipped when it was 4S. The future of books may well be upon us. Yes, E3 was not last week, maybe the week before now, actually, but Sony launched Wonder Book. And with J.K. Rowling, they've done a book called Book of Spells, and apparently the experience is magical. Here's what the book looks like. But for your children, you kind of link it up with your television, and it kind of looks like this. The storybook comes alive, which is kind of cool, but future of books for you right there. Twitter's first ever TV spot. They made a series of these, and that guy was the guy I spoke about again a few weeks ago now, and he was tweeting during a break when the safety car was out in the NASCAR, so of course now they've made a series of ads around him, and his Twitter followers have skyrocketed. Here's another one. Oh! Yeah. And that's what happens when you tweet and drive. Speaking of Twitter, they've just announced the launch of Tailored Trends, which is kind of good because it makes it more personal and more relevant to the user. But basically what they've done is your trends will now be based on your location and also who you're following, who you're interacting with, who you've favorited. So you'll start to see things that matter to you more, which makes a lot of sense. And of course that will also work on the Twitter, iPhone and Android apps. Another new thing they're doing with a couple of big publishers in America, particularly the New York Times, they're allowing brands now to do more, or publishers allow publishers to do more than 140 characters. So what that means is when you hover over the tweet, it will expand so you can see more of the article without actually having to leave Twitter, which is kind of nice, good for the user. Car brands in the US love Twitter. 10% of Americans are on Twitter, but 43% of Americans say they hear Twitter mentioned almost every day. Lexus and Audi are kind of leading the charge in terms of how many followers they have, but Audi are using it quite prolifically. They're kind of focusing on the 10% because they're the ones who actually talk and share more. So if you are on Twitter and you're talking and you're sharing on Twitter, you're more likely to talk and share on other social networks. So they're focusing on the 10%. Makes a lot of sense. With around 300,000 people in New Zealand now on Twitter, you should maybe start thinking about them. A country hands over its account. Yes, indeed, Sweden has handed over its Twitter account. So Sweden as a country, their tourism board has a Twitter account to try and entice more people to come to Sweden. Well, they actually handed it over to some of their citizens. Things have got quite weird, but if you actually go on there and have a look at it, some of them are quite funny. Some of them, though, are weird. Like this person here, Sonia. Before World War II, Hitler was one of the most beautiful names in the whole wide world. I know, it's as choking as dolphin rape. It's interesting. But hey, that's what they've done. They've opened it up to the citizens, and the citizens are talking. An interesting stat for you, yes, Andy Rubin, who kind of heads up mobile and Android over at Google, has now said that 900,000 Android devices are activated every day. Here in NZ, it's only on the rise. Also, so that's a global stat, but here at Nielsen have predicted that we will definitely hit 50% smartphone penetration by the end of 2012 in New Zealand. I personally think it'll be about 60, but that's just me. Anyone know this guy? He is from Bubble Safari, the fastest growing Facebook game, launched by Zynga. The game now has 14.8 million active users, and in the last week it's gained 10.6 million users, which is quite phenomenal. But it's the fastest growing ever on Zynga, but things aren't looking so good. There is the game for Zynga, because they've just fallen to a record low. They're obviously the biggest maker of games on Facebook, but they're now having a problem because more people are going through Facebook through their mobile, and you can't play the games on your mobile. So again, it's that whole dilemma of desktop and more people leaving desktop to go to mobile devices. So 8.2% of the user base fell. And of course, I guess they're struggling to keep people's attention, because when they release new games, people leave the old games to go to the new games, which again is another problem. But the share price since the IPO last December has dropped 41%. It's quite staggering. Anybody use Ping? I did sign up for Ping, never used it though. But Ping was Apple's social network around music that linked to iTunes. Well, it seems no one's using it because they're retiring at the next iTunes update. So if you do use it, it's going. This is a nice billboard that I saw for IKEA. Basically, it's to help people move out the old rubbish to make space for the new rubbish. So it's billboards with cardboard boxes hanging from it. You just take down the boxes and you can go and fill up your old stuff. So it's out with the old, in with the new, thanks to IKEA. Virgin make a short film, yes indeed they do. Virgin America, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Australia. They've all teamed up together to produce a film that's going to debut, which debuted actually yesterday at the Los Angeles Film Festival.
What if life handed you
It's okay. You've got time.
exactly what you wanted?
I'm getting married.
She's engaged. And then took it all away.
Go after her, go now!
A story about taking control of your destiny.
I know it sounds crazy, but you're my soulmate.
Meet your future at 35,000 feet. Departure date.
You can always go back out there. Probably better if you don't.
Yep, well, that's future branded content for you. Make a film. Comscore. Yep, Comscore have just done some research, and they say Facebook marketing does not suck, no matter what people like GM say. But a study has found out that it actually does help drive sales. From a study, Comscore explained, an unspecified share of 2 million global internet users, panelists involved in social essentials measurement service. They found fans exposed to a paid ad, 1.47% made an in-store purchase, as opposed to 0.61% who did not. So, I guess it works, right? If you get 8.8% of a rise in sales, you'd probably be quite happy with that. The main focus, though, was on earned. So this is things that brands are actually posting to their fans and friends. They found that 2.12% made a purchase, as opposed to 1.54% who did not see the ad. But again, though, if you're a fan of a brand, then you're more likely to buy something from them. So it's not, yeah. I mean, you can take this with a grain of salt, but certainly if you're already speaking to your existing fans to get new customers, I'm not so sure. But I guess friends of fans, it may work through using things like sponsored stories. For Target, it was a similar sort of thing. It was 3.3% of people who didn't see the ad still purchased. 3.9% did. So a slight rise. But again, though, it comes down to the same sort of thing. If you have an engaged audience on Facebook, it works. But to do that, you have to do something. You have to understand your audience. You have to create things that are worth talking about and worth sharing about. If you do good work on Facebook, it will work. Another Facebook news in the US anyway, they've embraced pragmatic data-driven advertising. Yes, they have. This is kind of cool. So they've just begun testing on the Facebook exchange, which allows advertisers to do real-time bidding for activity that happens off-site. Kind of cool. Here's how it works. It's all about cookies. So when you go into Facebook login, they drop a cookie on your computer, and then they will follow you around. They've got like a few partner networks, and when you go around the web, they will also be dropping cookies on your computer so they can find out where you've gone. Then when you come back to Facebook, they have a clear understanding of what sites you've gone, what interests you, what you've been reading about, so they can serve you more relevant advertising. Good or bad, I don't know, but hey, it's that same sort of thing. More relevant advertising is probably better. It cuts all the stuff you do not want to see. Cool brands, yes, Apple tops the charts. Apple, Sony and Converse All-Stars are perceived by millennials to be the world's coolest brands. New research has showed Coca-Cola was voted coolest food and drink brand. Axe or Lynx, the deodorant, was voted top in personal care. And fashion retailer H&M topped the clothing category. Why is it important? Well, cool brands really do see significant rise in advocacy, loyalty, and of course purchases, recommendations. But really cool brands manage to use their clear DNA to continuously surprise youngsters with new campaigns, new products, and new ideas. That's the thing with millennials. They need to constantly be engaged, surprised. This regularly renewed approach is necessary in order to keep a hold of their attention. Yes, indeed, they are addicted to stimuli. Furthermore, it's important to connect with people locally via their different interests and passions. Makes sense, right? But certainly for millennials, this seems to be even more important. Microsoft launches new ads.
An added benefit of new ads is we've been able to take elements and assets from an existing campaign, the Camry Reinvented campaign that we ran earlier this year, and provide those assets, and with the support and assistance of Xbox, added another dimension to an existing campaign and existing assets that we think will even more so help amplify the takeaway message for viewers and for users. And essentially with this, we've reinvented the 30-second spot.
Xbox.
So reinvented curtains. They are made of pizza.
Office chairs.
The reinvented DMV. It's a little nicer.
Next!
And this is the reinvented Camry.
The creative possibilities are endless with new ads. It's like having a dialogue with a customer through the advertising, which I think is really exciting, and it's changing the way that we're connecting with our customers.
I think historically we've been very innovative in much of our communication. You know, with new ads, with the polling functionality that we've put on the advertising, it really allows our consumers to not just see the ad, but then to get involved with it and to engage in it in a way where we're voting on what we like best about the ad, what we want to have next in the ad. It's a much more interactive and engaging play for us.
Xbox. Yes, of course.
I think new ads is one of the examples of the things that Microsoft will allow us to become more interactive and be at kind of the leading edge of what's available for us.
Kind of cool. There's a lot of possibilities there. It was something Microsoft spoke about a year ago. But kind of interested in. Other news, TiVo and PayPal have just done a partnership with each other to do click-to-buy TV ads, which again is kind of cool. See something you like on your TV screen, you can just click on it and you can go directly to buy. Very nice, but kind of future sort of thing. It's a good use of NFC, yes indeed. NFC, of course, near field communications is pretty much wrapped around mobile payments. But Dick Darcarlo of Samsung US, when his intern Eric Medin started, he said, look, all I want you to do is come up with a new way of using NFC. So I think he has. These things are called Samsung Tactiles. Basically what it means, any action that you do a lot with your telephone, say for instance when you're leaving work, and you always text your partner to say you're on your way home, you could place one of these tiles next to your computer and program in that when you scan your phone over that, it automatically sends a text to your wife. Or if you always set your alarm on your telephone when you go to bed, you can place another one at the side of your bed and program in it when you scan that tile. It turns the alarm on your telephone. Kind of cool, but really what Samsung wants consumers to help build their own near-field communication infrastructure, just one sticker at a time. But I guess it kind of makes it easier for you to do things quicker if you're doing the same thing frequently on your mobile. I love a good ad, yes I do. I'm just going to show these two URLs. Jot them down if you have time. Or more importantly, just go to Adweek, because Cannes Lions are almost upon us. And there is some truly phenomenal work. A lot of it you will have seen, and I would have shown you before. So I did have a troll through to try and find an ad I maybe hadn't showed you before. And here's a good one.
So what's out here that you want me to see so urgently?
My time is up. I have to go home.
My mission was to find out how far this planet has already progressed. I am to provide evidence on the intelligence of your race. Should we take the bus?
Nice.